Okay, let's just think about this for a second. What if swearing, something we usually just brush off as vulgar or impolite, what if it's actually something more, like a form of resistance?
It's a really provocative idea, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're digging into today. We're looking at Dr. MK's theory of swearing, based on this article, the semiotics of swearing, a linguistic revolt.
And it really turns the usual view on its head. This isn't about garden variety rudeness or cultural taboos.
Yeah.
Dr. MK framed swearing as a kind of psycho-linguistic revolt.
A revolt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, language fighting back against being manipulated, against censorship.
So our goal here is to really unpack that. Why does this theory say emotion becomes like the last weapon when language feels, well, occupied? And why might just letting loose, an unfiltered curse be the most honest thing you can say in some situations?
Well, the starting point for this whole theory is pretty striking. It argues that modern systems, they're not really governed by logic. They're run on narrative.
Narrative, okay.
Yeah, so the system isn't as worried about your thoughts as it is about, quote, uncontrolled reactions.
Ah, I see. So it's not about facts being wrong.
Exactly. Censors, in this view, don't step in because something's inaccurate. They step in because the truth might shatter the illusion they've built.
And the source really pushes this point, suggesting something pretty, well, unsettling about how governments work now. It claims they don't even hide the lies anymore.
No, they systematize them. They just weave them into everything.
Right. So when just being quiet, when silence becomes the normal way to react to all this system of lies.
Then swearing, weirdly enough, gets presented as maybe the only honest word left.
Wow. That really makes you think about authenticity, doesn't it?
It does. And to explain this, Dr. MK brings in Jean Baudrillard's idea of simulacra.
Simulacra, right. The copy of a copy sort of thing.
Kind of.
Yeah.
The theory basically says we're living in a simulation of truth. It looks real, it feels real, but it's hollowed out.
Okay, give me an example from the source.
Sure. Like, freedom is promised but never delivered, or justice is written but never executed.
Ooh,
Elections are held but never decided by the people. Even culture is taught but never lived. It's all the appearance, without the actual substance.
So the state doesn't need to outright ban truth. That's interesting. It just replaces it.
Yeah, it simulates reality so well that even disagreeing, even dissent gets kind of domesticated. Made safe. Part of the show, like you think you're pushing back, but it's already accounted for in the script.
Okay, so it's an illusion of resistance within the illusion itself.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And this is where Dr. MK's own idea, the Odam Tili theory of language, comes in.
Odam Tili. Okay, what's that about?
It proposes that language has three main jobs.
Yeah.
First, generating meaning, cognition, understanding stuff.
Right.
Second, creating bonds, social connection, building community.
Makes sense.
And third, releasing tension, that emotional catharsis, letting off steam.
Ah, catharsis. And this is where it gets tricky under manipulative systems, according to the theory.
Exactly. This is a key point. Dr. MK argues that these systems, well, they're okay with the first two functions, meaning connection, fine.
But not the third one, not the catharsis.
That gets banned. So if you're forced to use only civil terms, quote unquote, while inside you're just, boiling over.
Then your language isn't really yours anymore.
Right. It's been colonized, as the theory puts it, taken over.
Wow, okay. So that's why swearing gets reframed. It's not just being bad-mannered.
No, it's positioned as the last tool you have left for unscripted resistance. It's raw, it's yours, it hasn't been approved by the system.
It's fascinating, that shift, because normally you'd think swearing is disrespect, but Dr. MK says it's about disintegration. What does that mean exactly?
It means that moment when the controlled you, the polite linguistic self you present, just breaks.
Ow.
And your real emotional self just erupts. It bursts through the filter.
And that's what the system fears, that raw eruption.
That's the argument. Because think about it. A thought. You can ignore it. A petition. Deny it. Academic critique. Contain it. Keep it in the universities.
Right.
But raw emotion.
Yeah.
That's different. It's contagious. It's disruptive. It messes with the illusion of calm control.
So the conclusion Dr. MK reaches is, well, it's quite stark, isn't it?
It is. Quote, a people who cannot express rage are easier to program.
Easier to program. That's chilling. It's not just about controlling actions, but controlling the capacity for genuine anger.
Right. It suggests the system is threatened by that raw, unmanageable feeling.
Which leads to that other line from the theory, your swear is more dangerous than your thesis. Because that emotional outburst, that swear, it cuts through the noise in a way a reasoned argument might not. It shows something uncontrolled, something real.
That's the idea. It's a signal that bypasses the usual channels of controlled discourse.
Yeah.
It's a challenge to the very definition of power and threat.
So if we look at this in, say, post-Soviet states or similar systems, this idea of morality takes on a different light.
Yeah, the theory argues it's often not about actual virtue there. It's about control.
Like the things schools teach. The source mentions examples, right?
It does. Things like, a civilized person doesn't swear. Or, be patient with injustice.
Be diplomatic, not disruptive. Keep things smooth. Don't rock the boat.
Exactly. Suppress those messy emotional reactions that might actually, challenge things.
And the hypocrisy pointed out is, well, who's teaching these lessons?
The very system that benefits from that silence, the source is blunt, the same regime that loots public funds.
Right. The same judges who serve power, not justice.
The same media that filters fact through fear.
So the conclusion is pretty damning. When criminals define morality, those who scream are made to look insane.
It turns everything upside down. It frames the expression of legitimate outrage as deviant.
And this connects back to the idea that autocratic governments lie strategically. They know they're lying.
Yes, it's not a mistake. The theory says they lie because they're afraid of what happens if people truly grasp the situation.
So when all the normal ways to complain or seek justice are shut down,
then, Dr. MK argues, swearing becomes the last honest signal that a human spirit has not died. It's a sign of life, basically.
Not just noise, then. It's described as a linguistic scream.
Yeah, and a semantic Molotov. Even a neuroemotive reflex of survival. It shows how language itself, usually orderly, can become this kind of chaotic weapon.
So the system wants quiet, or, okay, maybe polite, controlled language.
Right. It could handle formatted thoughts. It can even handle, poetic descriptions of pain, as long as they stay within bounds.
But when you erupt, when you actually curse, break that structure.
Then you become a threat. You're suddenly off script, uncontrolled.
You're not part of the simulation anymore. It's like a glitch in the matrix.
Sort of. The core idea is that a regime can tolerate anything except raw, unapologetic emotional truth. That's the real vulnerability.
Okay, so wrapping this up, this deep dive into Dr. MK's theory, it suggests swearing, in these contexts, isn't destroying culture, it's rejecting a fixed civility.
It's that moment the human refuses to just be like a coded bot. It's language going rogue outside its programming.
Right. Language unplugged.
Exactly. And Dr. MK actually calls for what's termed an emotive liberation of the masses.
Emotive liberation?
Yeah, a public rejection of moralized silence.
Yeah.
Basically, urging honest expression, even if it's profane. It's about reclaiming that banned function of language.
Because, and this is the final thought from the source, something for you, the listener, to really chew on. A society that cannot scream, cannot think either.
Wow.
Yeah. Think about what that means for our own ability to process things, to react authentically, how important finding that real voice might be, even if it involves a few four-letter words sometimes.